question. Okay. So with all that out of the way, I'm very excited to introduce Anne Heffron and her very new book, To Be Real, by Anne Heffron and friends. Anne is an author, a writing coach, filmmaker, mother, and adoptee. Despite an MFA and a lifetime of teaching writing, she struggled to tell her story for more than 30 years. When she finally pushed through, the result was You Don't Look Adopted. You should read it. A memoir that resonated with adoptees everywhere. Since that time, she's developed classes and workshops specifically for adopted people and written Truth and Agency, all with the goal of helping adoptees get to the root of it all, those buried pre-verbal truths. Her latest release, To Be Real, features a section of essays from her students, all adopted, but it's also a memoir written as only Anne can write. It's a sequel to You Don't Look Adopted. It's an unflinching glimpse into what happens when you finally tell your story and life as you know it falls apart. To quote Anne, what happens is you become real. And now the woman of the hour herself.
Oh, thank you. That was so nice. I was wondering if you all could write one word in the chat of what you're hoping to get out of tonight. Just whatever comes to your mind first. Oh, to see your guys' names. This is like a high school reunion that I'd want to go to. Oh. Hmm. Um, Thank you. I thought a lot today about what I could give you. And then it got to be my bedtime and I forgot it all. So I'm gonna um try to I want to give you something really special tonight. I want to give you something that will make you feel excited that you're who you are and that you have this opportunity to be yourself. And so I thought of a way to describe, I was thinking, what if this was my last hour on the earth? And what if this was the last time I got to talk to people, you guys? And what would I want to say? And so I took, I mean, the book To Be Real that I just finished, and just the part that I'm the proudest of is the back with Hannah's and Dawn's and Leah's and Brad's and Shelley's and Sharon's and Andrew's and Tawny's and Kathleen's and Elisa's and Kristen's and Kimberly's name. Because when I wrote You Don't Look Adopted, it had my name on it. So I wrote it by myself. And to be real, so many people, Corey, helped me with this book, Sally, Hannah. If I start calling out names, it's not going to work well because there's so many people here that helped me so I'm not going to do that. But I felt really proud that I wasn't alone. And so the book itself was a lot less important. My story in it was a lot less important to me than the fact that it wasn't just my name on the book and that other people were there with me. So I'm not going to read to you from the book. If you want to read it, you can go to Amazon and get it. But I want to tell you why I think this book is a miracle. I can't believe I am where I am, like right now, right here, in Westwood, Massachusetts, a mile from where I grew up, living with my mom's friends, talking to you. The world is so big, and I ended up here is so completely wild that I have to believe in a higher power. This was not an accident. And I do think it's like what Joseph Campbell said, that there were a lot of helping hands came and assisted me. And so if I back way up and I want to describe to you or to somebody what it was like being an adopted person, I might say, let's put a little mouse in a room. And the mouse only has a table and some puzzle pieces. And so the mouse thinks his whole world is that room. Um, and there's something inside of the mouse that really doesn't feel good, but the mouse doesn't know any different. So the mouse, there's things going on, there's other things in the room, but the mouse really can't pay attention because the mouse just wants to pay attention to the puzzle. But the problem with the puzzle is that there's only a few pieces on the table. So the mouse doesn't know what to do about the puzzle. So the mouse can see in the room that there's other things going on, but all the mouse can really think about is that his body's uncomfortable and the puzzle. So the mouse does things. The mouse self-harms. The mouse chews on his tail. And then the mouse goes back to the puzzle and tries to figure out, like, what am I supposed to do with this puzzle? And I think my life was like this. I think my life was sort of like a container where a lot of things were going on and I was told what to focus on. I was told to focus on school and friends and, get good grades and run a good time in the mile. But this puzzle, like the puzzle was there. And somehow, like the puzzle seemed more important than all of those things. Maybe I'll drop the mouse. I'm not sure the mouse thing worked, but I'm going to keep going. And so I did things like not 100% wholeheartedly. I went to school, I had friends, but I always had the puzzle on my mind. I wanted to, like, I just knew the puzzle was important, but I couldn't get the pieces to fit, or so, like every once in a while, one piece would click and I'd feel really good, but then like so many pieces were missing. So why would I focus on something with so many missing pieces? And I feel like if I were to look at myself from a great distance, I would see this very, very confused creature who needed to focus on the puzzle. but because she couldn't, the mouse thing's not working at all. I gotta change how I'm telling the story. What I want to tell you is that I tried to live a normal life, but there was always something wrong. And it wasn't always a big something wrong, but it was like my mom saying, well, your best friend went to Harvard, like you're just as smart as she is, like why didn't you? Number one, I'm not just as smart as she is. Number two, I can't run the corridor as fast as she can. And I was so sort of, why are you saying that? But there were so many distractions. Like even now, me telling the story is so hard because I'm trying to say 100 things at once. And this is why it's so hard to write as an adoptee, because it's really hard to stick to one narrative because it's all so complicated. And so then I would normally get lost and then just stop. Like right now, I'd say, you know what, I'm all over the place. I don't really know what I'm saying anymore, so I'm just going to stop. But what I've learned is this is how I tell stories. I tell stories that are all over the place, and I have to stick with them because the all over the place is part of the story. It's part of this is the struggle of being an adoptee and trying to tell you what it's like to be in this world that I can't tell you like in a traditional ABCD narrative because that's number one, not how my brain works, and number two, not how it happened. So what I want to tell you about the puzzle is that when I decided to give myself full permission to focus on the puzzle, like, okay, I won't focus on having a nice house or any house. I won't focus on having a car even. I'm going to focus on this fucking puzzle. Okay, maybe not fucking. Yeah, fucking. I'm going to focus on this fucking puzzle because it's the only thing that resonates with the inside of my body. And that even though the inside of my body doesn't feel that great, it's me in the puzzle. And if I don't commit myself to this puzzle, I'm going to die and I won't have lived a full life. So committing to the puzzle means I'm going to try to figure out who I am. And people may say, you know what, you talk about adoption too much. You know what, you think about adoption too much. Well, that's they don't have a puzzle in their room, so they don't know what it feels like. So they can say that, and I can nod and say, I hear you, but I got to get back to my puzzle because, like, if until I get these pieces clicked together, the pieces in me internally aren't going to be clicked together, and I'm not going to be fully here. So you do your work. You go to the bank, you go do your job at the bank, right? But I'm going to live like this weird life where I'm, whatever. I don't have the same priorities you do because I have to figure out who I am. And when I started dedicating myself fully to the puzzle, that's when the miracles started happening. And by miracles, I mean like, how did I, from California, how did I end up on Martha's Vineyard, which is a tiny island where I used to go with my parents and where I felt most connected to my mother when I was a kid? How did I get a writing thing at Martha's Vineyard for 2 weeks? Like bizarre, right? So I'm on Martha's Vineyard writing You Don't Look Adopted, where I was as a kid. And then I'm in New York City in the East Village, probably miles from where I was conceived. So I write this book about my roots in where I was rooted. How did that happen? I mean, I don't know how that happened. I didn't do that on purpose. And then when I decided I didn't tell it all, like I don't want You Don't Look Adopted to be the only book about adoption I wrote that's out there, because the biggest reason was because in You Don't Look Adopted, I said that when my daughter was born, I thought she looked adopted, and I didn't think that. I just wrote that, and I did not want that out there. I want to fix that. I want her to know that I made that up. That wasn't true. And also, I wanted a little more agency. You Don't Look Adopted was about how adoption affected me, how I reacted to being adopted. It was more about adoption. But I wanted to write a book where I actually had a voice, where I was a person. So To Be Real didn't feel as um as as sexy to write. Like You Don't Look Adopted was sort of like I don't know, that was like kind of dangerously fun sometimes. It was also really, really hard. To Be Real was never really fun. I mean, my dad was dying, but the miracle about To Be Real was that I, I ended up, coming to my hometown of Westwood, Massachusetts to help my gym teacher write a book about being the winningest coach in Ivy League history. And I came here and then my dad got sick and died, and I got to be here. Like from California, I get to be a mile from where I grew up to sort of like find my body with my dying dad. And to back up a little bit, the miracles get even more particular because in between, I go to this place, I visit my friend, and I end up at Spirit Hill Farm and end up being there for 2 years during COVID. It was like living in heaven. And then I have to get a dog because I think I'm going to die of loneliness. And I get a dog that's the spitting image of the dog that died right when I went to college. And really, that was the second heartbreak after losing my birth mother, was losing that dog. And so now I'm in my hometown where my dog was hit by a car with the dog that looks like the spitting image of that dog. And I, I don't know how to say this, but the universe is letting me go back in time and collect my parts. And I am collecting my parts and I'm owning them. And it's not like oh, I'm bright and shiny. This feels so great. It's sort of like, wow, I'm kind of in a bad mood most days, and I'm gaining weight because I'm eating a lot of pizza because I'm a little bit empty. But also like what I feel like myself. And I don't know who that is. Like I feel like someone just gave me the keys to a car, but it's me. And so now in August, I get to, like, my dad died and he left me money, which is hilarious because I needed it before. But now, so now I can go and I can go to California and I can reclaim my daughter. I feel like I can go there and I can say, okay, I'm going to back up, sorry. But so here, what I'm doing this week is um, I am marketing myself. I spent $6,000 on a website, which it's a hilarious website and it should be up on Friday. But I am going to go out into the world and I'm going to make money. And I'm going to make money so that I can have a place of my own, so that I can have friends over and cook them dinner. And that may not seem like a big deal to you, but for me, that's the top of the mountain. And it makes me want to cry a lot right now. Like, if any of you come to my house, and it's okay if I rented it, but you come to my house and I feed you a meal that I cooked, that's good. I can high five God or whatever, and I can say, I did it. And it may not look like much of a, like, that whole journey was that so you could have a room of your own and cook your friend's dinner. Yes, that's what that whole journey was for. And the difference is that I'm in my body. And so when you come over to my house, I may tell you, look at, you can stay for an hour. Because I still don't really know how to be social, but it'll be a really nice hour and I'll work my way up. You know what I mean? But I won't fake it. Do you know what I mean? And so this whole to be real thing is amazingly simple to me. I am a woman in a body who wants to have friends and who wants to feed her body and take her body outside and to be able to give her daughter presents and pay her bills. That didn't go as I planned at all, but that's all I got to say to you. Amen. I don't even do drugs.
Oh, it just reminds me of that crack up laugh we had, and that I don't remember where we were, and kind of and this is, there's a picture of us. This is what two adopted people look like cracking up, and I like, that's what came to me just then, is like the crack up. So
You know
It
what?
just,
My new favorite word is hilarious. I want to walk around and say everything's hilarious. Like, okay, that's hilarious. Because I've worked so hard. I've shit my pants so many times. Do you know what I mean? It's like I I, I paid my dues, and um now I get to be myself.
mm,
So wait, did I make a point? My point was, please pay attention to your puzzle. That if you 100% pay attention to your puzzle, I believe the rewards will come back a zillion fold. It just may feel really, really weird. I think what I learned from the Harvard coach was to be tougher. I learned to sit with a lot of discomfort because it has been very uncomfortable. The past 2 years have been very uncomfortable because I wasn't sure I was going to be okay. I wasn't sure about I was just getting older, and like I just wasn't sure about anything. But I feel like if you fully commit to yourself, how can the universe not support that in some way? And other people, because other people, I think, resonate with truth. And but I just didn't know how tough I would have to be to get here. And by tough, I mean sitting in a disc. I know what it's like to be uncomfortable because I've been uncomfortable my whole life, but there's the discomfort that comes from just trying to survive, which is different from the discomfort from having a goal and steadfastly working to get it. If anyone's watched April workout, you know what steadfast means, right? You don't get to do that stuff by feeling good all the time. I hope I made a point. That was, you could ask me questions and find a point if you need one.
no,